Hello, hello. Welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot. As you know, I'm Big Italy 42. He is Josh Shepperson at BChad50. And we're going to be breaking down all the action tonight on DraftKings for you. Starting here at the top at starting pitcher, where there's some really expensive options, obviously. Clayton Kershaw, not an ideal situation, but a monster favorite. 12,600. Max Scherzer, similar situation, but against a much weaker lineup at 11,700. Then you've got your Corey Kluber at 9,800. Not as big of a favorite as you would like, but he's in a fine spot. And then moving down from that, a guy that you and I agree on, it's probably going to be a pretty highly owned pitcher for us as far as the middle to high range options. That's going to be Sonny Gray at 8,300.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the price point's right for a big betting favorite. He gets to face Jeremy Guthrie, which is ideal if you're a pitcher because you're going to get some run support because Jeremy Guthrie's terrible. I mean, Gray is a nice SP1 if you're looking away from the studs on the hill tonight. Of the big price ticket starters, Scherzer's the guy that I'm going with. I'll actually pocket that 900, and I love the matchup with the Phillies a lot more than I like Kershaw against the Rockies. I mean, the Phillies are just so bad. As I said on the FanDuel podcast earlier, they're basically a step up from a AAA lineup, and Scherzer is more than a slight step up from a AAA pitcher. So I like Scherzer, I like Gray, and then we get into the names that we're going to be rostering pretty heavily as well, and that's Jimmy Nelson, who's priced at $6,600. Already mowed down the Pirates once, as you've noted, and his ERA estimators painted so much more favorable a picture of what he did last year than his actual ERA. Really good prospect, really good numbers at the AAA level, and off to a good start. So I like Nelson a lot. Contrarian pick in me is J.A. Happ against a very left-handed Rangers lineup. He does have a high WOBA allowed to left-handed batters, oddly enough, but you look a little bit under the hood, and really the biggest issue is home runs allowed, which it looks unsustainable. Strikeout and walk rate to left-handed batters portend well for improvement against them. So I like Happ as a bit of a contrarian play, but with Nelson priced $200 cheaper, not going to be using much Happ, but will use some. And then a name that I know you like is Drew Hutchinson at 7,200. So I'll let you take him for a bet.
All right, Drew Hutchinson, he's got a nice strikeout rate, actually one of the higher ones on the night outside of the elite options, 23.4% last year. And the matchup against this Atlanta lineup, which granted is off to a solid start, they have one bat that concerns me, and that's a guy at first base we'll be talking about here in a minute. I think you know where we're going with that one, but I like the strikeout upside, especially on DraftKings, where you're going to need to make up for it when you're giving up hits, walks, things of that nature with the negatives. So I love targeting guys with big K upside like him.
Definitely.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for pitcher. Not touching any of these cheap guys. In fact, we're going to be targeting the cheap guys here. So moving on to catcher. Guy I like a lot, batting in the 2-hole, Travis d'Arnaud, $3,900. He's got a fine matchup against David Phelps today. And batting right ahead of Lucas Duda. I like him quite a bit. A few other guys that we were talking about here. You've got Jonathan Lucroy at $3,900 as well against Jeff Locke. He's in a fine spot. And I know there's at least one other guy that you were talking about here.
$3,800 Stephen Vogt. I mean, you got to like that left-handed exposure to Jeremy Guthrie. Would like if he hit in a better lineup slot like d'Arnaud and Lucroy, and because he doesn't, for only 100 more, I will be rostering mostly d'Arnaud and Lucroy. But you got to love the lefties against Guthrie, and I can definitely see hooking him with Ike Davis, guy that we're going to talk about at first base in a minute here. And then I'll dig a little bit deeper. We talked about him and how he helped us on Wednesday night, and that's Evan Gattis at $3,600 against fly ball pitcher Jared Weaver at home, homer-friendly ballpark at Minute Maid Park. So $3,600 is a decent price point for him.
Yeah, and he's got that double dong upside that few players have, especially at the catcher position. So great tournament play there. Moving on to first base, where there's actually a ton of options, no surprise. Edwin Encarnacion at $4,800. Adrian Gonzalez at $4,900. David Ortiz at $47 against Ubaldo Jimenez. And I know one guy here that you want to talk about that's pricey, but you like his upside.
That's Chris Davis. $4,800 is going to scare the hell out of gamers tonight. And I get it. Like, you're not using him in cash games because he is so strikeout prone, but he's been hitting third for the Orioles. He does carry third base eligibility, which is a nice spot to slot him as well, but because there's some bargain picks we like there, more likely than not, if I'm using him tonight in some GPPs, which I will get a share or two of him, because he can just put you so far ahead of the curve if he has one of his double home run output nights. At $4,800, I can see a case for using him with some of the value picks that we listed at pitcher, that contrarian, that necessary contrarian pick, I think, and Davis gets Joe Kelly tonight, who some people are probably going to be enamored with his first start of the season. But let's be honest, one start does not make a season. And we know that Kelly doesn't miss a lot of bats in his past, relies on ground balls. Looking at his numbers against left-handed batters last year, it's remarkable his WOBA wasn't worse. Low strikeout rate, so he allows a lot of contact. Walks a lot of left-handed batters. So I like Davis as an upside play.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple other guys to touch on here. Freddie Freeman at $4,700 was the guy I was alluding to earlier against Drew Hutchison. Lucas Duda makes for a nice pairing with Travis d'Arnaud. And I know one other guy that you had touched on here briefly is Ike Davis at $3,900. He makes for a nice play there against Jeremy Guthrie as well.
Yeah, and if you're going expensive pitchers, the Ike Davis, Stephen Vogt, $3,900, $3,800 catcher first base pairing gives you some of that cash back that you're going to need. So if you're going to roll with Scherzer, Davis Vogt pairing gives you some ceiling along with that pricey Scherzer option. So that's a couple of bargain plays that I like. And one name that we'll get to probably in the outfield as well is Chris Carter at $3,700 because he's eligible both at first base and outfield. Awful start to the year, going to be under-owned as a result. Probably going to hit maybe sixth in the order tonight because a righty is on the hill. But Jared Weaver gives up so many fly balls, and Minute Maid Park is a ballpark built for fly balls finding the seats.
Yeah, and Chris Davis, both of them actually, Chris Carter and Chris Davis, both with huge home run upside, and that's what you're going to need in your tournaments tonight and every night, but especially on a big slate. All right, moving on to second base here. The favorite play for you and I is Dustin Pedroia at $4,500 against Ubaldo Jimenez. Notice a trend here. We're going to be picking on him, not buying the hot start, if you want to call it that, the one good game. Boston's been the hottest team in the league, and I expect them to put up a big number on him tonight.
Yeah, I mean, any of those top three hitters for the Red Sox should be in position to produce fantasy points by the bushel. And I like Petey at second base. Ben Zobrist was held out of Wednesday's lineup, but as we checked, it looks like he's probably going to be a go tonight. It seems like if the game were more important Wednesday, he would have been a go there, but they just wanted to get him consecutive days off. So as a switch hitter, he'll get to hit left-handed against Guthrie. There you go. Your 3, 4, 5, 6 stack if you want to get Billy Butler. Actually, I'm sorry, you can't get that 3 through 6 stack because Billy Butler and Ike Davis overlap. But another A's left-handed batter if you want to hook them and maybe skip Billy Butler since he's not as good against right-handed pitching. Get your Zobrist and your Vogt and your Davis and hope that they can create for one another. Robbie Cano at $4,000 looks good. And then Asdrubal Cabrera, $3,700. I'd prefer slot him at shortstop, but he does have a case. And then $3,500 Neil Walker. If you're not using Jimmy Nelson, Walker gives you some savings at second base. Yeah,
and one other guy I want to highlight, I love targeting in tournaments because of his stolen base upside. And as you know, DraftKings, 5 points for a stolen base. D. Gordon at $4,500. Playing at second base or shortstop. Shortstop are really thin positions, so if I can afford him, I'll probably slot him in a couple spots there as well. But definitely love that upside for a guy that doesn't need to do a whole lot other than get on base.
Without a doubt.
All right, next up, third base, where your boy there, Chris Davis, is the most expensive option. So that tells you DraftKings been hiking up the prices in spots that they like. So that might tell you a little bit something about Chris Davis tonight as well. Josh Donaldson in a great spot tonight against Julio Teheran, fly ball pitcher at $4,300. And you've got a couple other guys. Adrian Beltre is a guy I know that you're a big fan of tonight at $4,100. Anybody else you're looking at around this range or lower?
Oh, the lower. And you and I both love two guys priced at $3,600, Aramis Ramirez and Kyle Seager. I mean, that is top shelf production at bargain basement prices. You're basically getting Grey Goose for the price of Barton's here, and I'm a big fan of making that happen.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't drink well liquor because well liquor gives you a headache, and rostering bad players gives me a headache too. So I will have a ton of Kyle Seager, as you all know that I do, at home against a righty. Big fan there. Cheaper options, you got Neil Walker's pretty cheap if you're not going the Jimmy Nelson route at $3,500. You don't mind him, but outside of that, not a whole lot that I'm a big fan of cheap here at third base. How about you?
Me either. I mean, like, when you can get those the two guys that we named, Aramis and Seager, for $3,600, there's not a lot of reason to kind of try to outthink the room.
Yep, absolutely. Speaking of a price explosion, here we go with Hanley Ramirez at $5,500 at shortstop. Off to a great start, but I don't know about $5,500 great start. At the same time, though, full stacks win a lot of times on DraftKings. He's hitting the ball extremely well right now. 4 home runs already on the young season. So if you're going with the Boston Red Sox stack, you're going to need some Hanley Ramirez. Outside of that, I don't think I'll be targeting him.
Yeah, me either. I just priced at a point that I can't roster him as a standalone option, especially when a guy at $4,100 makes for an interesting GPP play. It's not often you can call Troy Tulowitzki a contrarian pick, but when you're facing Clayton Kershaw, a lot of names get checked off as no longer being usable, and by lots of names, I mean entire rosters of players are just X'd off, not usable. Well, to me, this is like Ali Frazier. This is the kind of matchup that's fun. Tulowitzki is by far the best shortstop offensively, and it's not even close. And he's priced as the 7th most expensive shortstop. All he has to do is plant one in the seats. I mean, Kershaw is from another planet, but every now and again he misses. And Troy Tulowitzki is a player that can take advantage of a mistake. And while usually you like the pitcher in the pitcher-hitter matchups like this, at $4,100, I got to get a few shares of Tulo in GPPs just because he's such an awesome offensive player, and $4,100 is as cheap as you're ever going to get Tulo for.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, if Kershaw continues to struggle, he's given up 8 earned runs so far this season in his first 2 starts. Just 1 home run, but, I mean, yeah, if he continues to struggle, and, I mean, this is the ultimate struggle for Clayton Kershaw, then I like that. I mean, and that price tag, we saw him at $7,000 already this year at Troy Tulowitzki. So, yeah, I mean, the ultimate contrarian play, but could pay off in big way there, definitely. Some other interesting guys we've got here. You got Jed Lowry at $3,900. Makes for a fine play. I mentioned this on the other podcast. If Jose Ramirez or Mike Aviles ends up in the 2 spot again, I don't mind either one of those guys. Not quite as much of a punt as they are in FanDuel, but you could definitely save yourself a little bit of salary with these guys here. Outside of that, there's not much that I like at shortstop.
Couple $3,700 guys. Asdrubal Cabrera based on lineup slot. 3rd in the order for the Rays mostly, so $3,700 looks pretty good. And Ibar, if Cole Calhoun is out again, if he hits the leadoff, $3,700 against the man that I can't call Fausto Carmona anymore, Roberto Hernandez. I mean, I can call him that, but he doesn't go by it anymore. He gets that bum of a pitcher, so $3,700 for Ibar. Not a bad price if you're looking to save a little bit of money.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on to the outfield here. We've got some top options, and our favorite hitter here, and the number 9 hitter as far as price goes in the outfield, Jose Bautista at I almost said 8,400. He's not that good. $4,800 against Julio Teheran today. Homered in his last, or I'm sorry, not in his last game, 2 games ago, and he's not off to a great average-wise start, but I mean in a great spot tonight at 4,800.
Roger Center against a fly ball pitcher. I mean, love Teheran typically. Don't like him in this environment, and Joey Bats can send the ball a long way. I do like him at $4,800, especially in tournaments where, I mean, he can put up a huge fantasy point total on any given night, and $4,800 is a good price point for owning him.
Absolutely. You got Mookie Betts at $4,900. If you want a part of that Boston stack, you're going to need some of him. Nelson Cruz, otherworldly right now. Home run in every single game of his entire life, it seems. $4,800. Let's see how long that goes. Might want to get yourself some exposure just in case because he is locked in like no other. Bryce Harper at 4,500. I know you're a big fan of him against all of those Phillies pitchers mashed into one. They all look the same. They all pitch the same outside of Hamels. So he's in a nice spot. And who else are you looking at here in the outfield?
Digging a little bit deeper, $4,200 is a really good price point for Ryan Braun against the lefty tonight. PNC Park, really tough ballpark for right-handed power, but $4,200 is a steal for Braun against a lefty. I mean, he mashes them, so I like that price point quite a bit. Don't like his teammate Chris Davis as much at $3,900. Just because he doesn't have as well-rounded an offensive skill set or as nice a lineup slot as Braun. So I'm going to be fading him. Matt Joyce at $3,800. Hit cleanup recently. If he hits there again against a right-handed pitcher tonight, really good price point, so I like him. And we'll get back to Chris Carter once again. $3,700. His slow start's going to scare some people off, but he gets a fly ball pitcher at home. We know what Chris Carter can do when he hits a fly ball, so I'll leave it at that with him.
Absolutely. And next up, I've got Lorenzo Cain at $4,300. Swinging a hot bat right now. This is obviously if you don't have any Sonny Gray, especially on DraftKings, you're not going to want to target hitters against your pitcher with negative for everything, but playing really well. Depending on who's at the beginning of the order, Kevin Kiermaier, David DeJesus. Kiermaier, $900 more at $4,200. DeJesus at just $33, but one of those two should be leading off today, and I don't mind either of them. And outside of that, I mean, you're going to have to reach down for some value guys. And Matt Joyce is a great call that you had there at $3,800, especially if you're going to want to get any semblance of pitching today. I mean, it's going to be tough to find that good balance in between. Hopefully we highlighted some good guys for you there. Are there any other cheap guys in the outfield that you're going after today?
I mean, you can dip down into the David Peralta price range of $3,500 against Jake Peavy, but that's about it. There really aren't any other cheap names that I'm looking at and saying, yeah, I really want to get exposure to him. So if you really are, if you're scrambling, if you just have $3,500 and you really like your roster, you can do worse than Peralta.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, he's got a nice amount of power. Hits right ahead of Goldschmidt and company, so you gotta like that spot for him. And with that, that's going to wrap things up for us on the DraftKings Daily Trot. Make sure to check out all of our great content at dailyfantasycafe.com, and we will see you guys next time.